Thank you, Mr. President. I am privileged to deliver these remarks on a topic of great importance on behalf of Group of Four, that is Brazil, Germany, Japan, and my own country, India. Mr. President, recent global geopolitical events have clearly shown that the UN Security Council is unable to deliver on its primary responsibilities to safeguard international peace and security when the world needs it the most. The realities of 1945, when the Council was established, have long been superseded by current geopolitical realities, with the need for change being felt across the board. For the G4, a primary reason for the underperformance of this critical institution remains the non-representation of Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and the under-representation of Asia Pacific in the permanent category. As such, we are convinced that African representation in both permanent and non-permanent category will be an indispensable part of UNSC reform for a more representative and effective council. We, as G4, continue to support fully these legitimate demands and aspirations from the people of Africa. G4's relationship with Africa is anchored in trust and mutual respect and is focused on ensuring that Africa finds its rightful place in a new age of reformed multilateralism. In fact, the title of the debate itself is a clarion call for representation. Representation in key multilateral bodies is still not a reality for Africa and many other regions of the world, and it is imminent on us to correct this historical injustice, not only from historical point of view, but also from the perspective of future generation. This holds true. Africa is a continent with youngest demography, one with vast natural resources, expanding capabilities, growing markets, and most of all, rising ambitions. It is also inconceivable that Africa, which constitutes over 70% of UNSC's agenda items under discussion, does not get a permanent voice at the horseshoe table. Mr. President, G4 has walked the talk when it comes to correcting historical injustices done to Africa. Catering to today's realities, the G4 model of UNSC reforms has clearly proposed that the Security Council membership increase from the current 15 to 25 to 26 by adding 6 permanent and 4 or 5 non-permanent members. Among the 6 new permanent members, 2 each are proposed to be from African states and Asia Pacific states, 1 from Latin American and Caribbean states, and 1 from West European and other states. On rights and privileges associated with permanent membership, such as the veto, we also support the common African position that as long as it exists, it should be available to all permanent members, both new and old alike. It is the G4's firm belief, shared, we believe, by Africa and other groups, that any reform of the Council that does not address the lack of representation, particularly in the permanent category, would only exacerbate the current imbalances in the Council's composition and render it ill-equipped to address today's international challenges. Much younger bodies like the G10 in the New Delhi summit held September last year, when AU was inducted as a full member, have shown themselves more willing to accommodate the legitimate needs and aspirations of the African people. Mr. President, please allow me to say a few points in my national capacity. As the concept paper poses questions on the next step, we see following imperatives. 1, adding references to common African position and majority support to expansion in permanent category in a pact for the future as it befits endorsement by our leaders. 2, expediting text-based negotiations in the IGN. Consensus is an output of negotiations. For this, the 80th anniversary of United Nations could be a befitting milestone. It is important that we do not keep delaying reforms, waiting for a consensus to emerge, as consensus can only be arrived at through text-based negotiations. The other scenario is of status quo, where reforms and representation are only elusive. That should not be our path. 3rd, we must push for reforms heeding to the voice of the young and future generations, including from Africa, where the demand to correct the historical injustices grows ever stronger. Otherwise, we simply risk sending the Council down the path of oblivion and irrelevance. I thank you.